Hi, everybody. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today, I am talking about the movie Barbarian. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you are concerned about spoilers, I would suggest you go ahead and watch the movie first before you watch this review. So Barbarian is a movie about a woman who gets a Airbnb or whatever in Detroit, Bright more specifically, and finds that someone else is already living there. And then what unfolds is sort of this mystery horror kind of movie. I will say for this movie, if someone's watching this, like my mom, just to watch it for me, hi, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. You don't necessarily have to watch this review. There are some things that happen in the movie that I feel like I have to discuss for the review that are pretty sensitive subject matter. So if it's something that you might be subject or sensitive about, specifically sexual assault, then you don't have to watch this review. Thank you so much for checking in though. So as far as what I liked about this review, I will say too, as far as spoilers go, even if you're not concerned about spoilers, this is the kind of movie that is very surprising, and it is best to go in knowing as little as possible about it. So I would suggest, again, if you haven't seen the movie yet, probably don't watch this review. So as far as what I liked about the movie, overall, I liked the cast. Georgina Campbell was Tess in here. Bill Skarsgård is Keith. I liked both of them a lot. Justin Long as AJ is always very good and always likable. Matthew Patrick Davis actually is the man who played the mother, the horror monster creature. And yeah, overall, I thought all their performances were really good. I know Georgina Campbell from, she was on an episode of Black Mirror that I really liked. Bill Skarsgård, of course, played Pennywise, as among other things. He's one of these Skarsgård brothers. Justin Long has been in a ton of horror movies, from Drag Me to Hell, Jeepers Creepers, a bunch of different things. I'm not too familiar with Matthew Patrick Prince, but I'm sure he's done some stuff before. And then overall, I really like the music in this movie. There's a song, Ricky Tikki Tavi by Donovan, that's used prominently that I thought was really funny, and I enjoyed seeing that in there. And then the actual overall score as well. It was done by a woman named Anna Drubich, who is, I believe, Russian. She's done some other stuff before, like the score for an adaptation of Anna Karenina and the Fear Street, one of the Fear Street movies that came out on Netflix recently, I believe. So yeah. I like the score a lot. It was a very synthy, kind of like a Tangerine Dream, kind of John Carpenter-esque kind of thing. And yeah, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it a lot. The sound design of this movie I thought was really good. There's a lot of cool kind of sounds and noise that, again, might be actually part of the score, but that kind of add to the tension and kind of hype up the fear. A lot of kind of, just little subtle kind of things that I really enjoyed. I really liked the stuff with the mirror. There's a point where actually I believe that's no, I guess it's not the mirror. You can see it behind her there. But when she first discovers this sort of room behind her, she sets up a mirror and uses it to reflect the light down the hallway so she can kind of see what's going on down there. I thought that was clever, and the way they like showed it set up and everything, like it made sense. The radio was stopping it, like that was all cool. I thought there was a lot of really interesting shot composition in this. Overall, like it had a really cool, very nice look. Like as far as the directing goes, as far as the shots go and the overall look of it, I thought it looked really good, and I really enjoyed all of that. There was some really good comedy in here too, very dark kind of comedy that came from the situation. But when she first sees the door and she just goes, "Nope," like, yep, that is the appropriate response. And kind of a callback to the Jordan Peele Nope movie, which was same production company, I believe. Either way, we can talk about that more later. And the part where Justin Long's character, AJ, throws the laptop was really funny. That got a laugh out of quite a few people. And when he finds the room, instead of being concerned about what's going on, he immediately starts measuring and trying to see if, he can apply that to the square footage overall or not. That kind of stuff was really funny. There's also a couple of just cuts where like something happens and then the immediate next cut just gets a laugh just because of the kind of juxtaposition between the two, which was really funny. So all that stuff, I liked it quite a bit. I thought the overall look of the monster, the mother, as it's called, was a really cool look. I at first couldn't tell if it was just a naked woman or I assumed it was probably a costume, and it was a guy in a costume. But yeah, costume looked great. Like it was cool and scary and definitely something that you don't want to see coming at you in a secret underground room in a basement. I thought the movie had a pretty good runtime. It was about an hour 45, I think. So not too long, not one of these movies. Like I feel like all the movies now have to be over 2 hours. So I like that it wasn't too long. And the movie is definitely unpredictable. I think if nothing else, I knew very little about this. I had seen the trailer, but I did know a little bit because I've been sort of watching the Whitest Kids stream and stuff. And so I've heard Zach Cregger talk about this for a while. But as far as the actual plot goes, I didn't know too much about the movie at all going into it. I didn't know why it was called Barbarian, and I don't think I could have predicted it. If you were to ask me, hey, what do you think is going to happen in this movie? What happens in this movie? I never would have guessed at all. So that's a good thing, I suppose. It's definitely memorable and definitely not what I expected. As far as what I disliked about the movie, like I said, I liked the directing mostly, but there's some scenes with the actors where I didn't like the way it was shot, or I didn't like the direction. And I think they're, capable actors, so I just sort of blame it on the director. And I can't necessarily explain what it is, but I feel like there's some scenes where you see them and you can tell that looks good, that looks believable. And then there's some where you go, no, this seems a little off. So just from the very beginning with Georgina Campbell, her character, the way she's kind of complaining and upset about trying to, get in the key and everything. And I understand why she's upset in the situation, but and it's not, somebody's calling her and she's upset about that. But it seemed like she was just a little too frustrated, a little too quickly. And I guess it just didn't quite seem believable. And even their interactions at first, even though I know it's supposed to be awkward, so maybe that was kind of the intention, but it didn't quite seem believable to me. As they warmed up and started drinking and got a little more, comfortable with each other, they seemed more believable. But yeah, at the beginning, I don't know, I just had a little bit of a hard time. Maybe that was intentional, but I also think there was something that could have been done a little bit better there. This is a movie which is very frustrating, where the characters make very dumb decisions. That happens a lot in horror movies, and I realize that has to happen for the movie to have a plot for things to happen, but it's very frustrating. Like, she sees the door, she goes, nope, and then she wants to go. That being said, I see this and I would kind of be curious and I would maybe want to check it out too, but I don't know, I'm a guy. I live in the Detroit area, I'm more familiar with it. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I would be the dumb person in a horror movie that would do this, but there's definitely a part where it goes a little too far, where it's like, no, okay, you need to stop. And when, the guy shows up, Bill Skarsgård, and he wants to go down there and everything, it's like, yeah, you can go down there, bro. I'm leaving, like, no, thank you. And even when he's like calling for help and everything, like, that bothered me too, because I don't understand why he would be calling for help. If anything, if he was a good guy, if he was a nice guy, at least he would be saying, run away, get away. There's a crazy naked woman down here, I guess maybe he wasn't that nice of a guy. Who knows? There's also a lot of coincidences in this movie, a lot of stuff that just kind of happens, that bothers me. Again, I understand for the story it has to happen, but I think it can be written better. It can be written in a better way. And the same thing with, finding a more compelling reason to keep the people there, which they kind of try to do, like, oh, she's stuck in there. But again, I feel like I'd be trying to, kick down that door or break out the window first before I'd be going downstairs and exploring that room there. So yeah, a lot of stuff like that. And overall, I don't think the movie is really that scary. There's a couple jump scares that admittedly got me to jump. They did their job, but overall, I don't know. I personally didn't find it. I'm sure there's some people who would, but me personally, I didn't find it that scary. Basically the plot of the movie is that there's this crazy, inbred naked woman and her father, great grandfather, who knows, living father, uncle, brother, living under sort of this secret room hidden underneath the house. Which, okay, I guess that could be kind of scary. You get this B&B. I feel like there was a few movies that kind of did this, or there's a lot of movies that had like the people living in the walls kind of thing. Like there was that movie, The Boy, and like, I feel like there's a couple other movies that came out around that same time, like 2006 or so, where there was people living in the walls. A lot kept being, and this kind of seemed like a people living in the wall kind of movie, where it's like, all right. And then I guess my main issue is like the mother, the main monster, is like an inbred woman who's been living like underground. Like I don't see why she's so strong. I feel like I could overpower anyone who's been living underground, because they don't have sunlight, they're not getting vitamin D, they're not getting any basic nutrition. You know what I mean? Like they're like surviving off of like canned food and stuff, and like, well, milk or whatever. Like I don't know. I mean, she didn't seem that threatening to me. Creepy and weird and uncomfortable for sure, but again, I don't know, dude. I feel like I can take pretty much any like naked woman who wants to fight me. Bring it on. No, I don't know. So yeah, just for me, it was a little bit like, I guess I didn't really see why. Like, Bill Skarsgård's a pretty big dude. He seems fairly capable. Like, I would think he would just be able to, at least run away from this woman. And a lot of times while watching the movie, I just kept going like, what is this movie? Like, what? And not necessarily in a bad way, but just like, usually when you're watching a movie, you can kind of wrap your head around it. You go like, okay, this is like a noir mystery thriller, or this is like a horror movie, or this is kind of one of those movies where I'm just like, halfway through, you're like, okay, this is like a kind of suspenseful kind of mystery. Like, is the guy creepy? I expected maybe there to be a twist at some point that actually Georgina Campbell's character was doing something to him, like a ginger snaps kind of thing or something like that. But no, that's not what happened. Is that what it's called? No, the one with Elliot Page. Either way, and that's not what happened at all. It was just a lot of those. Like I'm like, okay, so we're like an hour into the movie or halfway into the movie or so, and Justin Long's character shows up, and you're like, oh, okay. So I guess that was kind of the end of that first part of the movie, and now we're going to see Justin Long's character, and of course he's going to meet up with Georgina Campbell's character, but and then I guess my biggest issue too is the Justin Long character. So he shows up, he's singing the Ricky Tikki Tavi song. It's fun. It's a nice little introduction to the character. He's driving around with the, convertible down. And I like Justin Long. I think everybody likes Justin Long. Everyone I've ever heard talk about him says he's the greatest guy and he's nice to meet. He's got a podcast everyone loves. He's a very likable guy. But then on the phone, they introduced this idea that a woman has accused him of sexual assault. And so, okay. And so then I'm going, okay, well, this could be something. I mean, if it were a false accusation, that could be terrible for this guy to deal with. His career, he's about to hit this big thing, and now he's got these false accusations. But then it's revealed that no, the accusations are not false. They're legit. Like he definitely did not take no for an answer as he should have. And that's revealed by the cameo by the director, which again was a little lame to me on whatever, just because he was playing exactly who I would expect him to be playing. But yeah, so then at this point it's hard to sympathize with this character. It's hard to like this guy when you find out he's done something like this. So you realize, okay, well, he's going to die horribly, and that's the point, I guess, which is fine. People do this. I don't love it though, because I'm like, you didn't need to introduce this. But then at some point it seems like, okay, no, maybe not. Maybe they're trying to give him a redemption arc, which, okay, that's weird to choose this guy, but it's challenging and maybe interesting depending on how it goes. But then no, that's not what happens either. You think maybe he's learned a lesson and he's gonna try to do something, but no, and then he just immediately throws Georgina Campbell off the roof to save himself, which again, kind of funny because it's unexpected and it's shocking or whatever. But to me, it was just unsatisfying though. So I think ultimately a lot of this stuff was sort of like subverting expectations just for subversion's sake, which I like doing that. I like having my expectations subverted. It is fun. It's interesting, but it's also, I feel like it has to be done for a reason and it has to be done for a purpose and to serve the story. And in this case, I feel like he was just doing it to do it. And I'm guilty of doing that myself. When I write, sometimes it's fun to kind of like mix it up. But unpredictable isn't always good. Just because you don't know where it's going to go doesn't mean, and I feel like it's more fun to write than it is to experience, and a lot of this really just kind of came off as kind of edgelord and juvenile to me, kind of just like, I don't know, a version of like what someone who's not punk rock thinks punk rock is, if that makes sense. Other than that, let's talk a little bit more about the director, Zach Cregger. So he wrote and directed this movie. He before this, he had, I guess, a couple other movies, technically. I did Miss March with Trevor Moore, and also Civil War on Drugs, which is sort of a spinoff of the Whitest Kids You Know show. So he was part of the group Whitest Kids You Know, along with Trevor Moore and Timmy and Darren and Sam. And so I'm a fan of Whitest Kids You Know, and I've actually been watching their streams on Twitch for a while now. So I've actually heard Zach talk about this movie for over a year now, I think. And I remember when he left to go to Bulgaria to film it, and he talked about filming in Detroit and everything. And so that was cool. And I was really excited to see this. That being said, it's weird to now watch it and to find that I didn't like it as much as I wanted to. Maybe I had high hopes or maybe I expected more, but I was a little disappointed by it. Then the more I think about it, the more I think it does make sense. It does seem like his style of humor, and it does seem like the kind of thing he would want to make. I found out while watching this stream and various other things that his aunt is Tipper Gore, the woman who put the advisory stickers on the CDs, and his uncle is was, or at least I think is, the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. So he's definitely the kind of guy who grew up in a different sort of way than we did, but he seems to kind of act like, oh no, I didn't have any privilege. And I'm like, bro, your aunt was married to the vice president. Like, come on, dude. Like, I don't know. So it does strike me a little bit that way. It's just someone who's like trying to be punk rock and trying to be cool. And it's like, yeah, dude, you're not. That's just not you. I'm sorry, man. Yeah. And so I feel a little bad saying I didn't like the movie because I wanted to like it. But also, I guess I still don't really understand the title. You could argue that the main character, or the bad guys, the antagonists, were barbarian, or their behavior was barbarian-like. Okay, I suppose. But I feel like maybe more the title is just to deliberately be kind of vague and confusing, so people wouldn't exactly know what they were in for. Which, if so, I guess message, received, mission accomplished. But I don't know. Also, I did notice, I don't think it is exactly, but it looked kind of like he used the Carpenter font for a minute, which is Albertus is what he uses. And I'm like, wait a minute, just the black with the red. I'm like, is this the Carpenter font? Are you using the Carpenter font? But like, it's different. It's not dissimilar, but I don't think it's quite the exact same. But I'm like, yeah, I don't know if you've earned the Carpenter font yet, Zach Cregger, at least not in my opinion. The movie was partially filmed in Detroit, or at least Brightmoor, which is pretty cool. I think they had to digitally add in the grass and stuff to make it look nicer. But yeah, it's always nice to have stuff filmed here. And it's funny to see sort of the way that we're perceived. But it's also funny because you see they are legitimately in Brightmoor and they're filming. You can see the houses and then they show the freeway, they show 75. And it's like, oh, cool, that's Detroit. And then they're immediately in Bulgaria. Like everything else, Bulgaria. So like that was funny. But I understand that it's cheaper to film in Bulgaria. It makes sense. They filmed it sort of at the tail end of the pandemic there. So yeah. So like I said, even though I didn't really like this movie that much, the Rotten Tomato score is pretty solid on this. It's got 92 from critics and 75 from audiences. So it seems like the audiences don't like it quite as much as the critics, but yeah, critics like this. And I think people like it because it is surprising and it's different and it's unexpected. But for me, I found it to be sort of unsatisfying just because it was unexpected, but not necessarily in a good way, I suppose. And like I said, the characters just make dumb choices and there's just too many coincidences for me. So overall, I think I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 10. I did not like it that much. I don't know if I actively hated it, and it's possible I might revisit it at some point. I think it did some interesting things, but overall, to me, it just kind of came across as kind of edgelord and just kind of immature. So, sorry. But if you saw the movie, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you here again next week.